This episode was recorded before the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. On this week's Diary of a Name Dropper, I'm joined by Jemma Powell, an actress, artist, mother, and maker of all things beautiful, plus a very special name drop of mine. I'm even lucky enough to get to call her family. With her first solo art exhibition, Searching for Stillness, imminent, we discuss all things painting, dogs, acting, parenthood, rats, and what it's like being married to a certain Mr Savoretti. Jemma, thank you so much for joining me today on Diary of a Name Dropper. This is so lovely and such a treat.
Thanks for having me. It's lovely to be here.
We get to chat properly without any interruption. I'm such a fan. I genuinely am a fan. I adore you. I just think you're the epitome of wonderfulness, and I just love everything you do. I mean, how long have I known you? Goodness me. A very long time now.
A very long time.
A very, very, very long time. And also, you are a family member. I should just say this is a name drop by is it by default? A name drop by default? It's one of my best. It's one of my good ones. It's a really good name drop. There is so much to you. Your career is amazing, and you have 3 children, and you never seem to stop. I really want to take it right back to the beginning, because you are an actress, an artist, a mama. Can you tap dance?
I've always wanted to tap dance, but sadly I can't. I did ballet for a long time.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah.
Oh,
but not anymore. No, I don't think I'll be able to do it anymore. But
but
sadly, no tap dancing.
No taps. I'm going to ask all the questions I should, I've always wanted to ask, really. Now, I know you were born in London, weren't you?
Yep, I was born in Fulham. And then, I grew up in Putney, but I was actually born in Fulham in the 80s.
3 brothers.
3 brothers. And then we moved to, I think my parents got fed up with driving us all around. And I remember my mum just kind of saying, I'm just fed up with sitting in traffic jams. So we then moved to Sussex. And that was just a really idyllic childhood. Slightly feral, just, all that kind of open space. And yeah.
I remember your dad saying on your wedding day, we moved to the country and we bought Jemma a pony thinking it would keep her out of trouble.
Did he say that?
Something along those lines. I thought it was brilliant.
I think it was to keep me away from boys.
I think it was that, yeah. Did you have a pony and did you stay away from boys?
I did have a pony, and then, but then I got into boys, so I stopped riding.
That's absolutely fine. I think that happens too a lot. But you come from a bit of an acting dynasty. You really do. You come from the most brilliantly artistic family. I mean, I'm just so in awe of everything you guys do. Your mum is the most breathtaking painter. Your uncle was the wonderful Nick Powell. Your grandmother as well. I mean, tell me a little bit about your wonderful upbringing and how you got into painting and art and the arts, really. Acting. What did you want to be, an artist or an actress?
I wanted to be an actress, but painting was just always something which I always did. And so, it's not something which I just suddenly came to and I was like, okay, now I'm going to be an artist. It was a sort of natural progression. I always kind of felt like it was something I would turn towards when I had kids and when I was older. I always said, yeah, I'm going to do that when I'm older. But I had a real, after school, I went to Bristol to study drama, and then I went to the Oxford School of Drama. I did a postgrad in acting, and then worked as an actress for many years, and I still do. But I think it felt like a natural progression for me to paint, and also because there's a lot of time when you're not working as an actor, and because I'm at home with my kids a lot, I can't always take all of the jobs abroad. So when the kids are at school, I can paint. It's a great job to have when you have kids. And my studio is in the house, so it's amongst the kind of mayhem of family life. But weirdly, I'm able to kind of paint amongst that. Me and Jack always say that he writes as well around the kids and the dogs. And it's not like I need to go to a studio and be quiet. I find that a little bit scary, kind of leaving the house to go and paint. So it's almost like my show, I'm sure we'll get to that, but
I hope so.
My show is called Searching for Stillness, and the whole idea is that there's no particular theme, but it's more a kind of quality that I'm searching for in my painting, which is a kind of searching for stillness. And whether it's the places I kind of travel to or just within the home, just being able to carve out that space for myself where it's just absolute kind of quiet. And that place where I get to in my head is when I can be most creative.
So did you stop painting for a while and then sort of rediscovered it? Or have you always used it as a form of therapy?
Yeah, I always used to take my sketchbook on holiday. I was always a little bit scared of it. I always felt like I wasn't quite... I was always just a little bit afraid of it. I loved doing it, but I was like, no, acting is my form of expression. And then as I got older, I found the confidence to be able to express myself in paints and through the materials I was using with my hands. But acting is still something which I love doing and I find very cathartic. But it's just, it's just another way of expressing myself.
I mean, I personally don't know how you fit it in. And I have to say, I met you when you were acting a lot. You were young, very, very young. You just met, I should point out, Jack is my cousin, Jack Savoretti, who Gemma's married to for her sins. I had no idea, ignorantly, that you were an artist. And it wasn't until he brought an album out and it was your drawing on the cover of him playing the guitar.
That was years ago, wasn't
and I remember thinking,
yeah.
Oh my God, because I love art. And there are people that can draw beautifully and almost draw like a photograph. But then there's actually capturing the essence of someone and that line drawing, it's so exquisite because it captured Jack in that era, definitely. That sort of troubadour. It's just the most expressive, beautiful line drawing. It is. Am I using words?
Yeah, line drawing. It was a line drawing. Yeah.
Was it just a pencil and you just did a sketch?
It was done in pencil. Yeah. And then there was Jack's dad, Guido, in the sort of background. And it was actually based on a moment in Portofino. And his album was called Between the Minds. And I felt like it was a kind of lovely, like Jack and his dad had this very close relationship where, I don't know, I just thought it was a wonderful way of kind of bringing to life that idea of between the minds, of a kind of connection between someone.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't realise. And was that from a drawing or do you sketch as you see it?
No. It was, I remember it was in a...
Sorry, not from a drawing, a photo.
It was from a photograph. Yeah. But it was the first holiday we ever went on together, me and Jack. And it was from that. It was a photo I took on that holiday. Yeah.
Oh, it's even more special. And it's got Guido in it. Yeah, I've never really noticed Guido in it. I mean, it's
Have
just...
you not? Oh, you can barely see him, but he's there.
That. And that's Between the Minds. So was that his first album?
Yeah.
Oh, bless him. And you've done an oil painting of Europeana, haven't you? You did a limited edition cover.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah, that was based on a beautiful photograph that our friend Chris Floyd
The great Chris Floyd. So I always say to him, but you did all the hard work. I just painted it. He really captured that beautiful moment of Jack by the sea, and it was a really wonderful photograph. So I always felt like I'm slightly ripping it off. No,
but they wanted another version for the limited edition, and Chris is a close friend, so he was fine with it.
Oh, it's exquisite, and what an honour! I think to have I think for Chris for a photograph to be turned into a painting. I mean, what an honour for the photographer. I think
it was actually Chris Floyd and Alice Sykes, his wife, who were two people who really were Jack as well. I was doing these little flower drawings on sort of old bits of card. They were quite kind of rugged pictures, very, very small, because I didn't have the confidence to work big. And this must have been about sort of 5 years ago. And they came over, or they somehow saw them, these little pictures of flowers. And they were sort of very dark and kind of, we just moved to the countryside, and the house was very dark. But I used to go outside and pick snowdrops or, any kind of flowers that I'd found, because I was just so excited to be in the countryside, and I'd bring them inside and paint them. And anyway, so Alice and Chris, Alice said, could I take them to London to show? She works for anthropology, so she took them to London to show anthropology, and they said we'd love to do a show of Gemma's paintings. So that was how it all started. So I did a show.
I was there.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. You sold everything as well, didn't you? Pretty much.
I did.
There was nothing left.
I was so happy. Yeah.
It's a testament to how beautiful they are. And they are, because you paint exquisitely. So, but it's like, it's extraordinary. So when you paint people, it's just, almost from a distance, it's like a photograph. It's extraordinary. And then as you move into the painting, you see the brushstrokes and it changes as you move back from it. They're so brilliant, the way you capture people. I'm having been up close to your paintings, and when you were away trying to sort that one for the Ukraine auction, me rambling around your studio, which was joyous but also terrifying that I was going to trip over something. But I could sit and look at them for hours. They are two different paintings. When you're up in front of them, and it's just a over explosion of just beautiful colours,
thank you.
And then you move away and you're like, oh God, it's like a photograph. It's just it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I think when I paint people, I used to find it very daunting, but then I realized that actually it's the same as painting anything else. It's just it's the feeling which you have to kind of embrace the actual thing that you're painting, and you just see the colors and I hate using the word energy, but you kind of feel the picture. Oh my gosh,
you do. No, but
but anyway, but when I paint people, it's like I want to capture their essence. So
you do.
I don't want to sit for hours doing loads of details. It's like I want the energy of that person to come through my arm and onto the paper or the canvas. And so that's why I think sometimes the marks are quite kind of, they look quite sort of slapdash, but I kind of want to keep that energy, if that makes sense.
No, I love it, and it's definitely your style, and it's exactly that. It's brave, sort of bold brushstrokes. It seems just so passionate and confident, and exactly that. Almost as you move further away, you see the detailing. It's extraordinary. Honestly, I'm such a super fan. That one day I will own a Jemma Powell. I think it's just so beautiful. And your colours, when you go to different countries, you immediately feel it's not just your people, and you do far more landscape than people anyway. It's your colours of Portofino or Formentera or, the desert. And it's, how do you mix those paints up when you're there, or do you just have a palette for everything, or because you can't take a million paints travelling?
I do. I'm quite. I do. And Jack's always like, "What is in your suitcase?" And then he sort of thinks there's like 100 high heels, and then he opens it, and it's just filled with paint, and then just like one outfit. So no, I take a lot of paint with me, and then
okay.
and then he gets furious because I can't fit it all in. So then the other end, when they're all because it's oil paint, and he's like, "How are you going to travel with these back?" And so I'm like, I've got my cling film, and he's like, okay, so how does that work? So you wrap when I travel abroad, I actually work on board. And so when it's all wet and oil paint just gets everywhere, I wrap it in cling film. and then shove it in Jack's suitcase.
Well, yes, because it doesn't dry oil for days.
No, it doesn't. Well, weeks.
Oh my God.
So he is. Oh no, but he does love it. But he's always very worried it's it might get all over his beautiful clothes. So
yeah, he'll get sent more. He's fine. It's incredible, and the colours are so wonderful. And what I did love is during lockdown, you used cardboard boxes, and I thought that was just brilliant because that is completely inclusive. Anyone can just break up a bit of cardboard box. And I started painting in lockdown. I did a Friday lesson.
Oh, yes, you're an amazing painter.
Oh, my God, I loved it so much.
Oh, they were beautiful.
But that was very much, you did sort of grid by grid and mimicked. And it was you could obviously have put your own slant on it, but it was very much, there was a structure to it. And at the end of the lesson, all our paintings looked quite similar.
No, but once you get through the kind of grid painting, then you get the confidence to then just freestyle. I just think it's a process, you know.
So did you start grid painting?
I never did grid. Maybe at school I did. I get a bit bored grid painting.
So we should explain, grid painting is when you are copying a photo, for example, or whatever, and you print it out and you draw a grid on it, and then you literally do A1. That's your first square you work on. And so you slowly build.
And lots of artists do it.
Do they actually?
Yeah. For sure. I don't have the patience for it. I kind of end up freestyling, and then the mistakes for me often then lead to something quite exciting. But that's taken me years to kind of work that out. You know, I think it is again a process.
So have you ever literally cocked one up and thought, no way?
Oh, I cock them up all the time, every time I paint. And actually the mistakes, because I always think painting's like a conversation between colours. So you put one colour on, and then that then determines the next colour that you put on. And it's important for me that the colours sing, so they have a relationship with each other. And I think there's nothing more amazing than just seeing two colours that, you know, when two colours like really go together. It's like in fashion, you think, oh God, that top would just look amazing with those trousers. You know, it works with anything really, even in interiors and, design or whatever. I think that, it's really important, the relationship between colours. But I have a really weird way of working on my palette is just completely out of control and just I always think it's really unprofessional and not the right way, but it's my way, and I've kind of learned to.
What do you mean when you say it's out of control? You've just mixed a million colours, or?
Well, if I wanted to do it really sort of professionally, I'd have all the colours around the edge, and then you sort of limit your palette a bit, and then you bring them in and you mix them together. Whilst for me, I have big splodges of paint around the edge, and then it's all a bit out of control in the middle.
Oh, I like that.
But it's important not to mix too many colours together, because then you do end up with just sort of murky, splodgy.
Brown, yeah, exactly.
So I do kind of clean my palette quite a lot, but it's sort of like a trance when I mix paints. I would say that's a time when I'm kind of a bit out of body, and I just sort of go into it, and it's almost like my hand just kind of takes over. It's like almost like a subconscious thing. Yeah. I think when people sing, they're not really thinking about it. It's the same when I mix paints. But that's the other thing. I think that, when I was younger, and Jack would always say, well, why don't you do, you're such an amazing painter, why don't you do more? And I would always say, oh, I'm just looking. I'm just looking. And so I feel like my paintings now are, when people sort of say, how long did that painting take? I want to say it doesn't really matter how long the painting took. It really is a lifetime of looking. So I feel like I've spent such a long time just kind of looking at life, and now is the time where I'm mixing colours and putting it all down, which is why I'm slightly, when I paint, I'm slightly, what's the word? Manic. Not manic because I'm calm. I'm searching for my calm, but it's slightly erratic and quite energetic.
It almost expels anything that you might not want to sort of have in your family life. I guess it's sort of, you exercise every demon and every good thought.
Totally.
And everything.
And if I don't paint for a while, I just become a really nasty person.
Really? Like me, about tea.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated. I know that you take your sketchbooks with you everywhere and then they lead to paintings. But
yeah,
do you ever have you ever just woken up, thought, I'm just going to mix some paints and then I'm going to paint something? Or do you always know what you're painting because then you need to know what colours? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? The idea?
Well, I go through stages of things. So when I'm lying in bed, sometimes the paintings, they come to me in my head. So often, a lot of my paintings are from memory and from kind of a memory of a place or, a feeling that I felt in a place. And then I'll put that feeling into the, whether it's a sort of harbour or a place I visited. And sometimes I don't even know where it is. I mean, I've got this painting, which is actually the cover of my catalogue. And it is a mixture. I've actually called it Childhood Memories, but it is a mixture of it's of a harbour and lots of brightly coloured houses and some boats and a lovely kind of deep blue, greeny sea and lots of kind of brush strokes. And I'm not really sure where it is, but
it doesn't exist. It's just a harbour from your head.
It's a mixture of sort of Cornwall and Italy and France and all the places I visited. So often the places come to me in my head when I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next morning and I go straight and I kind of get started. And then for a while, do you know a painter called Maggie Hambling? She's so cool.
I'd like to say yes, but I'm going to show my ignorance.
She's wonderful. I mean, she hates talking about her art. She's always got a fag in her hand and she pretty much wakes up and has a whiskey. But she's very, very cool. And she does, she wakes up and she gets her whiskey. I don't think she drinks first thing. I think she has a cup of tea. But she will just draw before she'll get up and go straight to her sketchbook and draw, because she says that's the most important. That's when all the ideas kind of flow out. I tried that for a while.
Time.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. But I do like painting in the morning. So once the kids are at school, then I like to paint in the morning. In the afternoon, my memory, everything is slightly blurry and I can't think straight and I'm a bit kind of ratty. But in the morning, I'm very clear.
I think that goes for a lot of mums.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 3 kids at home where you're painting. Your favourite I love your Portofino photos, and I mentioned earlier Formentera. But what is your favourite thing to paint, and what are your favourite colours to paint? What makes you feel, what releases the most endorphins or exercises the demons, either way, what has the best effect?
I've got an obsession with boats and the sea. It's just a feeling I get when I'm by the sea or I'm painting the sea. And boats. I love boats.
I love a boat.
Yeah.
I love a boat painting. Yeah.
Boats and wind. I went through a phase of just, painting outside where I live in the Cotswolds, and the wind and the green and, being outside in the elements. And then I kind of got a bit like, I just want to be somewhere warm. So I love painting in Morocco as well. Those, it's such
Colours.
a kind of, and it's, you get off the plane and everything is just pink compared to where we live. And it's lovely. I love the green.
You go for painting, don't you? You go for painting holidays to Morocco.
Yeah. So I do love Morocco, and I would love to do a show just of Morocco. I would love to do a show, just of Morocco and just of the sea. Those are two ideas, because this show that I'm doing it's a real mixture of places that I've visited, but it's like Italy, Morocco, Oxfordshire, and places in my head, and it's a real mix.
Well, we will come back to your exhibition because I want that to be our departing, so people know exactly where to come and how they can come and see you. I love that you love boats. My most favourite painting in the absolute world is a painting of the Regent's Park Canal that my grandfather and Jack's grandfather bought our grandmother and Jack's grandmother on Hampstead Heath. He was walking along and there was a young artist painting, and it's boats on Regent's Park Canal, and it's thick oil paint, and it's just there's something about it that every day I just look at it and I love oil painting. What's your favourite thing to paint?
Where is the painting?
It's in my house.
Oh, is it?
I think it was like he probably paid God knows how much, a couple of quid to an artist on Hampstead Heath, and it's just
it's probably. Do you know who it's by?
No, I'll have to have a look. Imagine if I'm sitting on a fortune.
Oh my gosh! Oh, send me a picture. I'd love to see.
I will. But I love oil. Like for me, it's the sort of stimulation of the oil. What's your? Because I like touching them. I know you're not meant to. What's your favourite to paint with?
Yeah, oil. And I only came to oil, sort of 5 years ago. I was always a bit scared of it because it always just got everywhere. And at school, I didn't paint in oil. But oh my gosh, it's amazing. You can do so much with
isn't
it.
it?
Yeah, it really is.
Oh.
And, it's sort of, you have to kind of get to know how to move it around. And it does so many things. And the colours that come out of that tube are just beautiful. You don't get that kind of vibrancy and clearness of colour with any other paint, I don't think.
But they do take forever to dry.
They do.
As your husband.
They do. And I do have paint all over all of my clothes. I mean, I do wear a painting apron, but it still just gets everywhere.
Yes, but Gemma, you still look gorgeous. This is the thing. And I remember Ingrid, your mother-in-law, my wonderful aunt, saying, "Oh, you could give Gemma a stick and she'd make it look fabulous."
I don't think so. I always think I look really, really scruffy.
No. You don't. You're one of those incredibly annoying women who always looks like you've just been delivered from heaven, and you just...
Oh, shush.
Yes,
no,
you are. You're
not.
gorgeous. You're just gorgeous, inside and out, which is more important. Very quickly, because I have to ask about your acting. You were in Alice in Wonderland, weren't you? With Tim Burton.
Yes.
Well, you've done loads. Tell us a little bit, because you've got loads of Doctor Who fans as well, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
We have to discuss your acting. I know.
Yes, of course. No, because it's a big part of my,
but you're so humble. Life. You're so humble. And I know it makes you feel like you're sort of, it's so English, isn't it? Not want to talk about what our success is. You have a fantastic film and TV career. And if you could, talk me through some of it.
Well, I mean, yes. So Tim Burton, I got the call one summer and my agent said, "Oh, Tim Burton wants to meet you in his home in, where was it? Belsize Park."
I think so. Doesn't he live with Helena Bonham Carter in houses next door?
Well, sadly, I don't think they're together anymore, but they used to live in the same big house. And then I think they lived in sort of separate ends, which was very clever.
Very clever.
Yeah. So I went to meet him and it was, just a lovely conversation. And I think he knew what he was looking for. I think often great directors, they don't need you to learn loads of lines and, sort of perform for them. They sort of know, they get a feel of all my best jobs, and the best directors I've worked with have been people who they just meet me and they know that they can get the performance they want out of me. And so I remember I was on the bus going back home and I got a call from my agent just saying, "Oh yes, Tim says he's found his Margaret." So I played Alice's sister.
Oh, Tim says he found his Margaret. I mean, that's a word that you hate, energy. He probably saw your energy. And if I was talking in PR terms, you're on brand for a Tim Burton film. But he saw, and your face when it's on the screen. I love the way it's shot. It's so beautifully shot, as is all Tim Burton. But he really does know exactly what he wants, doesn't he? And
I know he does. Yeah, he does. Well, he's got a great sense of humour though, because I remember there was one take we did, and so my first line in the film is, "You've ruined the surprise," and I was so nervous about, it was like the first take, and there was so much prep, like there were so many costume fittings, and I had my hair dyed about 1 million times, and we were all in Cornwall. And I remember the very first take, it was like action, and it was me, my big moment, and my first line was, "You've ruined the surprise." And I said, "You've ruined the surprise." And he laughed so much, and I just thought I was so embarrassed, but actually it kind of just made everything, very relaxed. And I was like, okay, great, he's got a good sense of humour. But, he was wonderful. He was lovely, and the cast were all amazing, and it was great to work with so many
megastars.
Yeah.
And just, you've been in films before, but seeing yourself and seeing people seeing does it make you feel sick, or is it exciting? And since watching people watch it for the first time, gauging their reaction, is that the most hideous thing or wonderful thing?
I love the whole process of just working with, the film crew or the theatre production that we're doing, all the rehearsal process. But the bit at the end where I have to go and watch myself is utter hell for me. Also because I'm out of control. So you don't, as an actor, you don't really, a lot of it can end up on the cutting room floor, and you think to yourself, that's not the performance I made, because the editor has edited a lot of it out. So there's very little control. And that's what I really love about being a painter, is that you have complete control from the beginning until the end, when the picture is hanging in the exhibition. Right down to the collection of paintings that you show. You've got total control, which I just absolutely love. And I think with acting, you have to really put your trust in a lot of people. And, I was in safe hands with Tim Burton, but, often you're not in safe hands.
Well, tell me about it. I'm married to a podcast editor. He can make it sound awful if we've had a row.
Oh, my goodness.
God. I mean, yeah, I'd never really thought about that loss of control. How have they edited me? Or imagine if you've been, I mean, not that this would happen to you, but I know of friends that have done extra work or little bits, and they've gone to the screening and they've been completely cut. I mean, surely they would tell you first, but I mean,
I've been cut out. I've been cut out of films completely.
No.
Yeah. I have.
Oh, God,
yeah.
It's so brutal.
It's really brutal. I know a lot of people who've been cut, and like really big films with a good role, completely cut out. 2 really good friends cut out of really, and I won't say what films, but it was that actually one friend, she was like, screw this, I'm not being an actor anymore. She stopped.
Ever again.
Yeah, no, she was like, this is just too, it's brutal. It really is. You have to be so thick-skinned.
Talking of brutal, you've done a couple of Jack's videos. I bet that's what's that like? Because you've done one with Rafe Spall, which was just beautiful.
Yes, I was pregnant then. Yeah, I think I always say to Jack, I rescued that video because they didn't really have a storyline. And then I was like, put the pregnant person in, and actually it was a really amazing storyline.
That's just a wonderful song as well.
Yeah, The Other Side of Love. That was great. I really loved that. And Rafe is a really old friend. We actually met in National Youth Theatre when we were...
Did you?
Yeah, when we were 16, 17. Yeah, he's one of my he's like one of those people I've just known probably out of, other than kind of school friends that I've known the longest. Oh, so that was lovely to work with him. He's
storming it, isn't he? Well, he was storming it in To Kill a Mockingbird. Everyone I know has been to see it and left agog with just the brilliance of it.
Yeah, no, he's a really incredible actor. In fact, I have a bet with him that he's not 40 yet, that he would get a BAFTA by the time he was 40.
Oh, has he not got one yet?
I don't think he's got one, but I keep saying to him,
I think
he's a few
Oscar.
years younger than me.
Oscar.
Yeah, totally. But he needs to get a BAFTA as well, because BAFTA's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, he's wonderful. And then what was the other one I did? I mean, we used to do them all the time.
One, didn't you?
Yeah, Dr. Frankenstein. And then we did another one, Changes. Changes we did together. Yeah.
Well, there was a brief moment where I had to do a screen test with Hugo, my Hugo, for that, because there was a brief moment, I believe, where they were going to use him as a younger Jack.
Oh, that would have been lovely.
Yeah, I thought so. Oh, we were cut, you see.
I think that they're always keen to sort of get as much kind of FaceTime of Jack as possible.
Le God.
And I'm always like, no, less of your face and more kind of artisticness and kind of people.
I think the fans would disagree.
I know. Yeah. I mean, he's got a very beautiful face. He's very photogenic. He looks great on screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he could be an actor. Actually, he's. I've seen, growing up with him. He's also one of the funniest people. I won't say the funniest person I know because it will go to his head. I mean, I think a lot of his videos are so, you can tell he's, there's a real skill. I hate blowing smoke up his arse. But he has got a bit of a gift with that. He doesn't just sing with a guitar at his videos. Like, they're quite emotional. And
yeah, he really goes there, doesn't he?
He does go there.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
I know. And I really take my hat off to people that the way that he gets up on stage and will sing a song which he wrote, 15 years ago, as if it's the first time he's singing it. Because I can appreciate that, because as an actor, we used to do kind of long tours, and it was, we had to keep it fresh every night. And it was, it was a real struggle, but he's been doing, the same songs. People want to often hear the old classics. So he sings them in his concerts, as well as his new, sorry, they're my dogs, as well as the new stuff. But he just keeps it so fresh every time. He manages to move me, and to, if he's really in the moment, then he does have the ability to, really kind of make me very teary.
Oh, but he loves it so much. You can see that. And if you love what you do, Richard Branson famously said that, if you love what you do, you're going to be good at it. And I think, I don't remember Wembley at all because I cried throughout. I just found the whole thing so overwhelming and emotional. Yeah. But that must have been pretty intense for you, along with his touring. You've got, the 3 kids. It must be. You have to share him with so many people, and and then he's on tour. It's testament to you, really.
Well, I think it's just always been part of our relationship, because I met him when he was so young, and before we had kids and before we were married. It's just something which is just the way that it is. And, there are days that are hard, and, I sort of call him and go, oh, God, the dogs have pooed all over the carpet, and it's, and you're trying to get the kids to school and, do all the kind of mundane stuff. But, and that happened today. But most of the time I try to just, stay calm, and also it's nice to have a bit of space from each other.
Oh, yeah.
I think we kind of then appreciate each other when we're together.
You're so attractive to each other because you're always just doing such brilliant stuff. Both of you are evolving and doing stuff. And while he's on tour, you're certainly not just sitting at home cleaning up dog poo. You've got this incredible exhibition coming up. I have to ask you, before I talk about the exhibition, very, very quickly, Doctor Who, because I will be absolutely told off if I don't talk about Doctor Who, because you have so many fans for Doctor Who. But you did a special Doctor Who.
Yeah, so we did. It was a drama, and it was about the group of people that made the very, very first Doctor Who. So it's not a documentary. It is actually a drama. So I was playing one of the very first Doctor Who companions. She was called Barbara Wright. And it was a great costume. Yeah. You had hair like Margaret Thatcher, I vaguely remember.
And
we were working with the wonderful David Bradley, who was playing the very, very first Doctor Who, William Hartnell. And yeah, it was just wonderful. He's an incredible actor. And it was a very poignant moment, because it was all filmed at the BBC. The BBC was a huge, it was one of those shows. I think it was like the first drama. Was it the very first drama?
There's some major history with Doctor Who and the BBC.
And the BBC.
But I'm not a Whoey, if that's what they're called, Whoeys.
Yes, Whovians.
Whovians, that's it.
And the BBC was closing. So it was all very emotional, because the BBC was closing. It was the year that it closed. In White City. Yeah. Oh. And we were driving in. They had this wonderful shot of us sort of driving in as the very first Doctor Who companions, all in our 60s outfits. And so it just felt very, very poignant and quite emotional. But it's a wonderful, wonderful drama. And Jessica Raine plays the producer of the Doctor Who. It was so funny though. I didn't know any of this, but they used to have because they only got 3 takes per shot, and so all sorts went off. Like everyone, there was all this sort of electricity power cut, and then all the water went off, and they got flooded. And then, it's sort of slightly farcical, kind of people backstage going, get on onto the, where the TARDIS was, and it was just, a complete shit show.
Brilliant.
But then, it did so unbelievably well. People absolutely loved it. It was just, and then it carried on, and it's one of the most successful shows of all time.
And I used to be terrified of it. And you got to stand in a TARDIS.
And I got to stand in a TARDIS, yeah. And we were also reenacting a lot of the scenes. So, it was all that very clipped way of talking, in the TARDIS will take you anywhere. And it was all, so we were having to kind of reenact these scenes from the original Doctor Who. So it kind of felt like you were sort of morphing into the actress who played Barbara. And so then, so we were reenacting, but then we were also playing the actors who were playing
in an episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And it's on quite a few. Is it? I'm not sure if it's on Netflix. Is it on iPlayer?
It was a BBC drama.
Yeah, I think it's on iPlayer.
Yeah.
And it's bound to be on BritBox as well.
Yeah.
So good. But you've done so many, and what I love is that so many people in your beautiful friendship group, and this is the thing about you and Jack, you both have friends from your child. You're surrounded by such old, wonderful, loyal friends. It's just such, another word, I don't want to say it, but it's good energy with the Savs and the Powells. You've got these great, wonderful, and you've met so many on film sets as well.
I know, it's lovely when you meet creative people, because you kind of feel like there's a lovely creative community, which I think is really important, because it can be quite solitary sometimes, being, even acting when you're away from home and you're in a, living in a hotel room. And so it's nice to have a.
But you paint,
community.
I'm sure.
Yes.
You went, didn't you film? You've just done, just sex god, Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, yeah. He's lovely.
Oh, of course he is. I wanted you to say he was awful, so it would shake some of this obsession. But I used to have him on my text tone saying, "I love you, Meredith," from when he was in Grey's Anatomy. But anyway, when you were in Italy filming that, you were painting all the time. It was so lovely. I loved following you on your Instagram, because it's such a nice mix. You've got all your beautiful art, but then every so often there's a little escapade.
Yeah, it's nice to have as a companion, having your sketchbook, because there's a lot of time off when you're sitting in a trailer or in just wandering around. We were in Rome, and I took my sketchbook with me and loved doing. I was mainly doing kind of line drawings. But I remember when I was doing The Stranger, I was filming in Manchester. That was after that. And I was staying in one of those really tall hotels in Manchester. And I remember painting the rooftops of Manchester, which was really lovely, from the hotel room. I was really pleased with those paintings. Because you don't often find yourself in a very tall building in the middle of Manchester.
No.
So I was like, I'm going to totally... I didn't actually have any paints with me. I went to an art shop and bought loads of paints.
Oh, that's even better. I love that. Oh, fabulous. So is there acting in the pipeline at the moment?
No, everything is on hold. I told my agent that I just need to focus on this exhibition.
Yes. And this is the big one. I'm so excited about your exhibition. Go on.
Too.
So where is it?
It's at Cricket Fine Art in Chelsea.
Oh.
And it's on from the 25th of October. I'm just having a look now, until the 20. It's from the 5th until the 21st.
This is how much you don't blow your own trumpet. You had to just check.
Well, I should probably know the dates, shouldn't I?
I'd have it tattooed on my arm.
Oh, I actually went to pick up a whole load today from my wonderful framer, and so I've got about 25 of them here in the studio. And
Babies.
I've got a few. Yeah, and I've just realised I've not signed them, so I've got to.
And they're all for sale.
And they're all for sale. Yeah.
And framing must be so much fun. It can absolutely change the way a painting looks.
Oh, it's so much fun, because the painting's done, and I think it's a really exciting part for me. And I work with this brilliant framer called Philip Ellison, who kind of, he frames all the royal family's paintings. I mean, he's just like the best. And his ideas they're just incredible. They're so beautiful, the frames. It's my favourite bit. And I go all day, and we just drink loads of cups of tea. and it's very eclectic, this exhibition. So, each frame is it's kind of, made personally for that particular picture. And actually, he's got this one which he designed specially for me that he says that no one else is allowed to use.
I didn't actually realise this was such a big thing. I mean, I knew that, the right marriage between a frame and a picture can, complement or make it. I mean, the worst thing is when you see a badly framed, beautiful painting.
Yeah.
But there really is there's a real society of secret frames, is there? And bespoke.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're just such...
So is it the Jemma frame? Is that what it's
called? The Jemma frame. But I think they're like kind of jewels, you know, they just sort of... They're just... I get very excited.
No, they are beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're all different. And this is the thing, it's just... When you buy a piece of art, you're buying a backstory, you're buying a collaboration, you're buying a story. And I just love going to exhibitions and buying art. Honestly, if I had disposable income, I would be buying art.
Oh yeah, me too.
But your kids already are painting. I mean, they look like that. It already looks like works of art. I mean, they're just brilliant. It's in the family. It's in the genes.
So my studio is right next to the kitchen. So often, you know, Celeste is pottering around with her toys and just kind of, you know, just pulling things out of cupboards. And so she often kind of just sort of toddles in, and she loves to watch me paint. And she's obsessed with all the sort of, you know, the colours and the brush. And I give her brushes, and I give her her own little, you know, little board that she can... I mean, I don't give her any paint because she's too young and will just go everywhere. But she
is
loves...
there not paint she can have that is edible?
Yeah, we started doing crayons and watercolours, but then she loves just, you know, painting the walls and the floor. So
of course, yeah.
She's not quite ready for that. But no, when she's in a controlled environment, i.e. in her high chair, we do painting. Also, the other day I found her with a paintbrush with paint on, painting over a framed picture. Yeah, it was fine. Because it was all dry, I was able to get some...
Picasso's dog ate a Picasso, didn't he?
Oh, my God.
Picasso
really?
had a dachshund, which says it all. I've just had to have mine taken out of the studio. They've been so badly behaved this entire time. If I've sounded a little bit like... apparently Picasso had a dachshund called Lump. I actually in a weird dog lady, I have the Picasso dachshund as a tattoo. He sketched his dachshund.
What's an unfortunate name?
It was called Lump. Yeah, Lump the dachshund. But by all accounts, Lump ate a Picasso.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So at least she didn't eat it. But saying that, you have got 4 dogs. Just be mindful of that. But they're not dachshunds. You should be all right.
Yeah, well, actually, I did leave an oil painting on the floor once, and it was, you know, that time of year where you get rats, and there was a rat had gone over the oil painting and put little rat footprints all over the floor. little oil painting tippy toes. Jack got really obsessed, completely obsessed, because we had rats in the attic, and he'd sort of wake up in the middle of the night and be like, where's it coming from? Where's it? Anyway, we ended up, and so he sort of run around in the house trying to listen for where the rats had got in. But now we've got all the all the sort of little kind of cracks and everything completely blocked off. So the rats now.
Are you sure they're not gliss?
What?
Now. Let me tell you very quickly. I know you've got to go, but gliss are Lord Rothschild. So Lord Rothschild had the stately home in Tring Park, which is now the Performing Arts School. And he was a collector of animals, which he then stuffed. And we've got the largest collection of taxidermy in Tring, in the Natural History Museum. It's a little natural history museum in the middle of Tring with all Rothschild's stuffed animals. But he bred this weird animal called a gliss or a gleegly. It's known as an edible dormouse, and he let them go in the woods round here. And they are a protected species, and they get into your f***ing lofts, but you can't kill them. So you have to, as my mum has found out, you have to get a gliss man round, or a woman, or you
but dormice are sweet. I don't mind dormice.
No,
they are
eat
really
everything,
sweet.
apparently.
Oh, do they?
Well, that's the problem. It's the poo and the eating. I mean, that's the thing. We've got squirrels in our roof, and I'm a bit like, you know, Shallow Grave when Christopher Eccleston's scuttling around the ceilings. I'm like that, lying in bed, thinking, what's watching me from up there? We've got squirrels. Jack, yeah, we've got squirrels, I think, and which are rats with tails, let's be honest. And I don't know what we're going to do, because I don't mind them, but I dread to think what they're eating and pooing on.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard of squirrels.
Oh, they're huge. We've cultivated an entire family of like super squirrels because they're so warm and protected, and no doubt eating all my vintage.
Gosh, it sounds very Beatrix Potter. So idyllic.
You could, only you could make it sound like Beatrix Potter. I've got a loft full of vermin. So your exhibition, I just want to make sure we can... So the dates are, remind me again, the 28th of October to the 5th of November?
So the 5th of October until the 21st of October.
We've done well here.
Completely wrong. In Cricket Fine Art.
In Chelsea.
In Chelsea. And yeah, anyone can go, just need to make an appointment. And there are about 40 paintings. So there's 2 floors and lots of, it's a beautiful gallery and lots of space. And so I think I hope it will be a really great show.
Oh God. And do you go, you're obviously then at the launch, and then so you've got a new website, haven't you? We can find out everything on your new website.
I do have a new website.
Have you got a new website? Is it up and running?
It's up and running. JemmaPowell.com.
Right. So you can get all the information on your show there. And is there a link to booking or anything
there is,
as
I think,
sophisticated as that?
I think there is a link to the gallery.
Brilliant.
Then you can, there's an email and that will take you through, and then you could message them. And then also my Instagram is powell.gemma.art. Yes.
And the website is jemmapowell.com.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely... honestly, in the billions of years, I don't think we've ever properly been able to sit down without interruption and have such a lovely chat.
I know, it's been lovely. No kids, no dogs, no husbands.
No.
Very quiet. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful chatting.
Oh, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Jemma, and thank you to you, the listeners, for your support, for your likes, for your listens, for your shares. And if you like what you hear, subscribe and tell your friends. We will be back next time with a very special name drop. Until then, goodbye.